With its critical reception, Spider-Man Homecoming is considered by many to have one of the greatest interpretations of the webhead since 2004. And though Tom Holland's wonderful performance was one of the many factors as to why the movie was as great as it was, Michael Keaton's portrayal of the menacing Vulture was also a huge standout, with his character being arguably one of the best Marvel Cinematic Universe villains to date. Still not the best movie villain of all time though. I mean, there's no way you could beat the likes of Scar from Lion King, Mr. Swackhammer from Space Jam, or Robbie Rotten from Lazy Town. My point is that great villains usually end up in great films. So with the recent smash hit of Homecoming, I thought I'd give my thoughts on who I'd like to see, or could see, in the roles of Spider-Man's villains. His rogues gallery is probably one of the best rogues galleries out there. I mean, who needs your Green Goblin? Dr. Octopus what? Venom who? You're looking at such iconic legends such as the Looter, Big Wheel, and Skinhead. Who the hell are these guys? I was joking about it earlier. They're not gonna be on this list, but if you're actually a fan of these guys, I don't want to judge or anything, but there's a lot of freaky, weird innuendos that come to mind when you say that last one's name. Just saying. I'm gonna have to preface this by saying that the villains that have already been casted or appeared on screen won't be on this list because, what's the point? I also can't list characters that are owned by other big company studios. Oh yeah, and spoiler alert, there will most likely be spoilers for all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe films all the way through Spider-Man Homecoming. So that means no Vulture, Juggernaut, Shocker, Tinkerer, Kingpin, Scorpion, or Prowler. Keep in mind that this list is my opinion and everyone has their own blah blah blah. I'll also be including anti-heroes because why the hell not? In before someone in the comment section says,
Actually Jigglypuff shouldn't be on here. It's an anti-hero cause—
We get it, sweetie. You're nerdier than this channel. You've done the impossible. Alright, cue the first title card. Yeah, the first guy on this list is the one that's been overdone so many times. Anyways, you probably know this guy all too well already. Norman is the father of Harry Osborn, an arch-enemy to Spider-Man. He got really high off of the Goblin formula. And well, yeah, he turned into an actual Goblin. I thoroughly enjoyed Willem Dafoe's Norman. He was menacing, creepy, scary, and essentially the face of what I consider to be Norman Osborn. Definitely not this guy. Fashion is fashion, and I ain't judging, but a white guy with cornrows always threw me off. Anyways, it's gonna be hard to top this guy. Chris Cooper couldn't because he bit the dust before the 10-minute mark. I actually have 3 picks for this character. My third pick for Norman would be Kevin Spacey. He's oozing with talent, having won 2 Academy Awards, including Best Actor for playing Lester Burnham in American Beauty. Spacey has really shown that he can do this kind of shindig as illustrated through his portrayals as the terrifying yet warm-hearted Frank Underwood in House of Cards, and the intimidating and mysterious Doc in Baby Driver. My second pick would have to be Bryan Cranston. Cranston is such a versatile actor, stretching his craft all the way from the silly screw-up dad to a stone-cold drug dealer. He was arguably one of the best parts of Godzilla 2014, but that didn't last too long as he was killed off pretty early. He doesn't have the wacky haircut the comic book Norman has, but he looks scarily similar to him here. He clearly has the chops to pull this off, so if Marvel and Sony casted him, it would truly be amazing. I mean, spectacular. You can't use that word, that thing isn't canon. Though I love these actors, the #1 top pick for Norman is hands down Matthew McConaughey. McConaughey completely disappears whenever he's on screen. All you ever see is the character in the movie. That's a hard thing to do in this craft. You never want to show that you're playing your part well. You want to be your character, as if you weren't even acting, and his accent would most definitely add a kick to every single threatening sentence that exits his mouth.
The tower will fall. Everyone who walks with you dies.
The Green Goblin mantle doesn't end with Norman. His son became the next one. They showed him ODing on the same stuff his padre got high off of in the 3rd Spider-Man movie. I don't know if he did that in the comics though. Harry Osborn is supposed to be the best friend to Peter Parker, but if they added him in now to this timeline, he'd probably be a third wheel to this bromance. In the original Sam Raimi trilogy, the talented James Franco was cast as Harry Osborn, but he originally auditioned for the role of Spider-Man. Everything was pretty much set in stone until Tobey Maguire came along and snagged that role for himself. Nonetheless, Franco did a fantastic job, and I think something similar to what happened back then could happen again. There were a few finalists before Tom Holland was cast officially as Peter Parker. Off the top of my head, Asa Butterfield and Charlie Rowe were among them. I think either of these two would make a great Harry. I'd go more for Rowe though, because if on the off chance Marvel actually sees this video, which let's be real, they probably won't, not even 10% of my subscribers stick around, he looks more like he could be the son of either of these guys than Butterfield. He played Peter Pan in the Neverland series on the Sci-Fi Channel, alongside the guy who played that one doctor with really bad eczema, so I'd say he'd be a solid pick. Other names being thrown around that I wouldn't mind seeing would be Harrison Osterfield and Thomas Brody Sangster. Osterfield is the real-life best friend to Tom Holland. Seriously, they go everywhere together. So you know they'd have the chemistry on screen part down. He has had experience on the big screen, taking part in 4 films. Those of which I haven't seen, so I can't really tell you any more beyond that. Sangster is most well known for playing his role Newt in the ongoing film series The Maze Runner. And I didn't even know this until Wikipedia enlightened me. He also voiced Ferb Fletcher from the Disney show Phineas and Ferb. Maze Runner is an action-adventure type of film, so yeah, he could tackle this role with ease. Alfred Molina is commonly praised as the best live-action adaptation of a Spider-Man villain, and rightfully so. Dude killed it in Spider-Man 2. I think Oliver Platt or Christoph Waltz could do the character justice. I already said my top choice for Magneto would be Christoph Waltz, but let's be real, Marvel ain't getting that character back for another century. Platt's been in countless movies, including X-Men First Class, but he's only credited as the Man in Black suit. He deserves so much better than just that. And Waltz is a legend. Nothing really to add on there. That's all I got for Octavius. I was debating whether or not to include Venom on this list, because he's getting his own solo movie where he's gonna go against Carnage, which may or may not be set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. People are saying that it's gonna be like the Marvel Netflix series, where they will make references to the PG-13 world, but they won't actually physically cross over. I honestly think that's just a cover-up. They're just waiting to hear how the movie will do, and if it's good, they'll say they've been on board all along. And if not, then rip, abandon ship, SOS. If this is indeed set in the same reality as the MCU, we don't really know when this takes place. I mean, Tom Hardy, the guy who was cast to play Eddie Brock in the Solo film, is almost 20 years older than Tom Holland, or Peter Parker. Seeing the age difference between Parker and Brock is just weird to me. I always imagined them to be right around the same age, or at most, there'd be a 7-year age gap. But 20 is like me low-key trying to RKO my uncle into next Friday. I think that, if it is in the same reality, then this will take place somewhere in the future, so when casting a younger Eddie Brock, I'd go for Justin Prentice. He's already proved that he can play an obnoxious douchebag in the smash hit show 13 Reasons Why as Bryce Walker, with the addition of being a rapist liar, but I can't touch too much on that because YouTube about to shut me down. He looks like he could be a younger Tom Hardy, and he's only 2 years older than Holland, so yeah, that's a plus for me. If Marvel and Sony clarify later on that the Venom movie is going to be in a different world from the MCU Venom, because they be fickled, flipping their statements like Krabby Patties and contradicting one another's statements, I believe O'Shea Jackson Jr. could easily bring this character to life. He played the part of his father in Straight Outta Compton, and is set to play a role in the Godzilla sequel, Godzilla King of the Monsters. Some will inevitably bring up the issue of the man having a different color skin than Brock in the comics, but him being black instead of white doesn't really change the essence of the character at all. Lo and behold, the crazier version of Venom is on this list. Cletus Cassidy is a psychopathic homicidal sadist who killed his very own grandmother by pushing her down a flight of stairs, almost killing his own mummy by throwing a toaster or an oven or something in the bathtub, and murdering his own pooch. I don't know how this character would work in the PG-13 friendly world, but hey, since we're playing What Ifs, he's here. At the time of this video's release, the actor set to play Carnage is yet still unknown. I imagine they'd get someone around Tom Hardy's age, or at least well over their late teens. I've heard Jim Carrey's name being thrown around here and there, which I can see, but as for the one that's supposed to go up against Tom's Spider-Man, I'd love to see Will Poulter or Cameron Monaghan take a stab at it. Poulter's been in the comedy film We're the Millers and the critically praised 2015 film The Revenant. He also portrayed Gally, the acquaintance-turned-psychopathic traitor, in The Maze Runner. That one scene specifically towards the end of the movie where he has completely lost his mind, you could feel the terror in the room. And as for Monaghan, the dude basically plays a DC version of Carnage in Gotham. Except, you know, minus the goopy Jell-O symbiote. His character's name is Jerome, but you gotta be blind as a bat to think that this isn't the Joker just with a different name. I know this thing asexually reproduces, making a child called Toxin. I would have put that character on here, I just don't know that much about him. If it's anything like Carnage, then yeah, one of these guys can be Carnage while the other Toxin. I always saw Felicia Hardy more as an ally to Spider-Man, because she was sort of that in the PlayStation 1 Spider-Man game, but apparently some people consider her an anti-hero, so she's on here. Plus, I had to put her on this just to add diversity, because I mean, look at this rogues gallery. It's a damn sausage fest. A Silver Sable and Black Cat movie is in the works, but again, it's confusing as to what's a part of the MCU and what's not. She hasn't been cast yet, so who cares? Hardy experienced a tragic event in college involving her boyfriend with details I can't disclose because again, her relationship with Spider-Man was a long read. There's a lot of words here. I don't know that much about Black Cat. I just don't. Let's just leave it at her having some on-again, off-again relations with Peter Parker. Anyways, I'd like to see Anna Sophia Robb get back into the bigger budget films. When I was growing up as a kid back in 2005, all the way to 2011, her face was everywhere from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, to Bridge to Terabithia, to Race to Witch Mountain. I haven't seen any of her recent films, but from what I remember seeing, she was pretty damn good in terms of acting. I could also see Alexandra Daddario filling in the role. Seriously, the white hair would just make her eyes pop. But her acting skills do have some people concerned as to whether or not she could pull it off well, so my first choice would still be Rob. Silver Sable is sometimes shown as an ally to Spider-Man, but in several continuities, she's taken on more villainous roles. And plus, I threw in Black Cat, so why not Silver too? I read that somewhere that as opposed to Peter and Felicia, Silver is well above her teens. If I'm dead wrong, then shoot, my bad. Charlize Theron is the best actress I can think of for this role. Theron's upcoming film Atomic Blonde looks promising, though judging from when I'm gonna release this video, by upcoming, I mean newly released. I'm writing this on the 14th of July, so yeah. In a way, I'm time traveling, yo. I don't know how the movie will fare, but she looks amazing in those action scenes. There were rumors that she was in talks to play Captain Marvel, but that ultimately went to Brie Larson. Don't get me wrong, I love Larson and the things she's in, but I was kinda rooting for Theron a smidge bit more. But hey, that's just me. We're finally entering the realm of characters that haven't been on the silver screen just yet. I mean, we did talk about Carnage and Silver Sable earlier, so never mind. Sergei Kravenov is a Russian immigrant and half-brother to the Chameleon. He's obsessed with defeating Spider-Man to prove that he is the world's greatest hunter. Luke Evans is the only guy I'm dying to see play this role. He played Owen Shaw in the Fast and Furious franchise, and is arguably one of the few redeeming qualities of Dracula Untold. Jeffrey Dean Morgan would be my second choice, but he's probably gonna be caught up in a future DC Flashpoint storyline, so that might not happen. I really want to see Luke Evans though. He's already done that bad guy with a brother gig, so it'd be funny to see that being done in a Spider-Man movie. The second movie could be about Kraven, and then the third one could be about Chameleon getting revenge for his brother. Chameleon is typically known as the master of disguise, changing his appearance to deceive others and even Spider-Man. Yeah, it doesn't sound too imposing, but he's apparently scarily good at it. To the point where you could just slap him, and the mask he's wearing folds up like a real face. I think. That's all I got, I don't know how else to hype him up. Looking at this, it kinda reminds me of Voldemort, and so why the hell not? Why not get the actor for Voldemort for this? I'm sure Ralph Fiennes could play it well, as he was sure as hell scary in the Harry Potter franchise. That would be the greatest casting choice I've heard in a while. Mysterio is one of those characters that's often the butt of the joke, often brushed to the side easily by Spider-Man in various video games and TV shows he's in. Just think Wizard of Oz, but you know, a criminal. I'd be interested in seeing Marvel depicting him more as this darker, less goofy version similar to that of the Riddler in the Arkham games. As far as who could play him, Aidan Gillen is the first guy that comes to mind. He's good at playing that stern, cold-hearted villain. My second choice would be Bruce Campbell, seeing that he was supposed to play him in Spider-Man 4 before they rebooted it for the in-betweener. Though, Marvel may opt for a younger guy, probably one that's in the same grade as Peter. If that's the case, then they'd maybe opt for the goofy version he's often illustrated as.
You dare to challenge the infinite mind of Mysterio? Face your...
Speaking of the Master of Illusions, Miles Warren, aka the Jackal, manifested quite a big illusion through the process of cloning. I hope cloning counts as an illusion, because that was a sketchy-ass transition. It probably doesn't. Warren was the professor of Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker, but he had a secret obsession for Gwen. He got mad at Spider-Man for killing Gwen even though it was Norman. He was all like... David Thewlis is my pick for Warren. He's already played that teacher with a darker, mysterious side in the Harry Potter franchise. The only problem, though, is that he's with DC. He played Ares in Wonder Woman, so there's a chance that a childish exclusivity thing is going on there. Or not. If there isn't, it's all the more better. But judging from how recent Wonder Woman is, they probably won't cast him. My second pick is Andre Braugher. The guy is a solid actor, and he can come off as frightening if the script asks for him to do so. It'd be a new experience for him to play a big superhero villain, and I have complete faith in him playing a character who's so ominous and unknown. I imagine they'd make this a transformation, not like a used makeshift Party City outfit, but like a full moon werewolf Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde sort of thing. Otherwise, that's just gonna look derpy. Also, fun little tidbit. There's a Miss Warren that could potentially be related to the Jackal, that's seen in Spider-Man Homecoming. She's one of the STEM teachers that asks Flash and Peter a question, with only the latter having answered correctly. Or this could be a female adaptation of the Jackal. If so, then hey, we just wasted quite a bit of time now, didn't we? The Hobgoblin was rumored to be Ned Leeds, but that might not be the case because how many times are they gonna do that whole my best friend's a villain now arc? And if they were to go with the Hobgoblin, they'd probably go with the more well-known character, Roderick Kingsley, who was the first to don the Hobgoblin mantle. There are so many goblins that hate this guy. It's a thing now between goblins and spiders. Michael C. Hall is hands down my one and only pick for Kingsley. Playing a psychopathic serial killer seems right up his alley. After the show Dexter though, I haven't seen him in too many things. It'd be great to see him again as he really deserves the spotlight. Dr. Kurt Connors is the brilliant scientist turned Geico mascot. We all saw him in the first Amazing Spider-Man movie fighting a human-shaped basketball, so you're familiar with him. Kevin McKidd is the choice for me when it comes to Connors. He played a damn god. Granted, the series didn't fare good reception, but that's okay. He even voiced the Thomas Wayne Batman in the Justice League Flashpoint Paradox animated film. Using that voice as the lizard with maybe a few tweaks with some special sound effects here and there could send chills up the audience's spine. Marvel most likely won't use him for a good while though, as it wasn't too long ago when they used the same character. But then again, they love beating the dead horse with the Osborn, so who knows? I could be wrong. Alistair Smythe is an evil scientific genius who designed robots, those of which he calls Spider Slayers, for the sole purpose of capturing or killing Spider-Man. He is usually depicted as being unable to walk, using his wheelchair to move around from place to place. But he later designed some sort of weird super soldier bio body armor that grants him the ability to walk again. Oh yeah, he also gets your generic old enhanced strength. I hope they go with the cool type of armor route, because if they go with the animated series, those two curved udders might give kids bad dreams. BJ Novak had a cameo role as him in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, so we kinda sorta saw him in a movie before. He didn't really do anything. Cillian Murphy I feel would do just fine here. Murphy's done the whole deranged villain concept already in Batman Begins as Scarecrow. Marvel may make a similar character story arc to Tom Cavanagh's Dr. Wells' Reverse Flash, where he pretends like he can't walk in public. Then out of nowhere he just gets up as if in church on a Sunday afternoon with his sun out and everything as if it were nothing. That'd be sweet to see in the MCU. Yo, this video is actually getting super long. Alexei Savage is the human-sized grayish animal cracker with a street cone attached to his head. He's super buff, but all that meat takes so much of a toll on his head that he isn't exactly the brightest guy out there. For Rhino, I would assume they just CGI him similar to how the filmmakers made the Hulk or Deadpool's Colossus. As for who would mocap him, someone tall I'd assume. They could get the actor who motion capped for Colossus, or actors with an S. If they actually wanted a guy's head sticking out of a human-sized Rhino suit and makeup, then maybe Ron Perlman. He's experienced with a lot of makeup. Comment down below who you think could play Rhino, cause I'm just spitballing at this point. Max Dillon is Spider-Man's villain with the ability to control electricity after being struck by lightning while working on a power line. He was the discount Dr. Manhattan in the second Andrew Garfield Spidey film, and he was played by Jamie Foxx. No disrespect to Foxx, dude's great when it comes to acting, but I feel like Aaron Paul should have been cast as Dillon. After Breaking Bad, he's shown audiences that he can channel his inner rage without overselling it. I think he can also do the whole unlucky loser personality as well, giving me all the more reason to push this guy for the role. Judging by how much this new Spider-Man doesn't want to tread the same water as the last Spider-Man movies, the screenwriters might alter the powerline arc. Maybe he sticks a fork into an electrical outlet. Don't do that, by the way. Captain Planet won't be there to save you.
Captain Planet, mother.
Spoiler alert for Spider-Man 3. We find out that it was actually Flint Marko who killed Uncle Ben and not the guy that didn't know how to swim in midair. Apparently that's a huge stray away from the comics, but 8-year-old me was like,
What? OMG, Becky.
y'all already know he was in the Raimi trilogy, there's no reason for me to recap that. Adam Baldwin is an underrated actor that doesn't get the recognition he deserves. He was good in Firefly and he looks the part of Marko too. Even if you loved it, the whole downfall of Spider-Man 3 might have pushed Sandman a little farther back down the line from appearing in a movie again. You could counter-argue that with Venom, but I don't think Sandman is as popular of a character as Venom is. Hammerhead is the Spider-Man villain with the strongest head game. His head is usually reinforced with adamantium or vibranium. The movies would most likely opt for the latter as it's the only one they can legally use. Top pick for me would be Ray Liotta. He was in Goodfellas and Something Wild, but he's more widely known for his part in Hannah Montana. A close second would be Ray Wise. Funny how they share the same first name. Wise is phenomenal in practically everything he's in, so you can't go wrong there. The anti-hero Michael Morbius was a scientist turned pseudo-vampire after experimentation with electrical shocks and chemical ingestion. From what I've heard, he has all the powers of a vampire, like super strength, super speed, and sharp teeth, but he isn't afraid of garlic, crosses, or holy water. If you were stuck in a room with this guy, the odds have never been so much against you. Gaspar Ulliel is a super underrated actor that I think is perfect for the role. He was fantastic as a young Hannibal in Hannibal Rising. His portrayal almost oozed a vampiric vibe. If you watch a few clips of the movie online on YouTube, you'll know what I'm talking about. I don't have a second choice for this because as of right now, he's the only one that seems like he can knock it out of the park. Probably the most obscure character in this list, Morris Bench was on a cargo ship, where he was accidentally knocked overboard by Spider-Man during a fight between the Wallcrawler and Namor. I've never heard of this guy at all, so I'm probably just gonna go based off of just looks here. Maybe Chris Carmack? He's had that filmmaking experience and he's a really big fan of water. Granted, you and I both, but he's the safer choice. The main reason as to why I would want to see this guy being done in live action is because it could introduce us to Namor. He's essentially like Aquaman, just with a Speedo. He's not a physical threat to Spider-Man, but he's always on his arse, so that's kind of the worst villain of all. It's impossible to not compare whatever actor they're gonna get to play Jameson to J.K. Simmons. He essentially defined the role of Jameson himself. If they could, I think they should cast him. I don't think fans would be too confused about the two different worlds being separate. Anyways, if they can't get him back, which is sadly a high probability since DC snagged him in a Santa bag as Gordon, I feel Hugh Laurie would be the next best thing. He's good at conveying the sarcastic loud attitude of JJ. There's gonna be a lot of naysayers for sure because some people just don't want to see Simmons replaced, but I have faith in Laurie. I have two other wildcards out there. The first is Gary Oldman. Oldman is an Oscar-worthy actor, breathing life even into the dullest of characters. I haven't seen him play that Jameson type of persona yet. He might have done it already, I just haven't seen it. But he has a lot of range in his craft, and casting him would be hilarious as J.K. Simmons, the old Jameson, was cast as Gordon. So why not have the old Gordon be Jameson? The second wildcard I was talking about, and I know I'm probably gonna get my arse kicked in because of expressing an unpopular opinion, but screw it, it's the internet. I'm gonna get it kicked in either way. I wouldn't mind seeing Terry Crews. I love this guy. He just seems like such a fun guy to be around. And after watching the Expendable movies and rewatching Everybody Hates Chris, I've got to say that I'd be dying in the theater laughing just seeing him in this role. I mean, what can I say? I told you he was the wild card. But his energetic vibe would bring something new to the character. Some people were chanting Ice Cube a while back. He plays a somewhat similar character in the 21-22 Jump Street series. I'm cool with the choice, but I don't think he's cool with it. Anyways, guys, so those are my thoughts on who should be cast as the Spider-Man villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I know there are probably a handful of characters out there that I didn't mention, but I was just listing the villains that I could think of off of the top of my head. What did you think of my list? Are there certain actors you'd swap out? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you genuinely found this video entertaining, then be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Also, consider following me on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. And for more of my videos, just click right here.